This is a story about a special kind of noise. A noise worth a small fortune. A noise that has made a provincial city, for a time at least, the metropolis of pop music. This is the story of the Merseysound.
Oh, there must be about 300 or so rock and roll groups in Liverpool, and all of them, except us, have either signed up for record companies or with the telly or something like that. You've only got to mention Liverpool and all the fans start screaming and going wild. It's glamour, but I mean, when you weigh it up, it's rather ironic to think that there's 80,000 houses in Liverpool itself, which are really not fit for people to live in. And apart from that, there's about twice as many people on the dole here as anywhere else in the country.
Yes, but it is a good thing, the fact that they are on the dole, insofar as they can spend all day practicing, whereas if they had a normal job, they wouldn't be able to do that at all.
Oh, in fact, one chap used to play with us. He was on and off the dole for about 5 years and all. But seriously, there's loads of vitality and talent ready to break out of Liverpool any time at all. They're not fighting, they're singing. And up to a couple of years ago, the police wouldn't let them sing at all in the pubs in case they started a riot. People seem to be saying there's no Mersey sound, but there definitely is a sound. It's a sound of its own. It's a sound that you don't find anywhere else in the country.
I'd say that the Merseyside sound is a heavy accent on the bass drum and the bass guitar, and that's what gives the music its guts.
Probably the nearest definition is a hard driving beat with a chunk on the drums.
The first thing you hear is the bass, the thump, thump, thump of the bass. It just seems to... It's just absolutely fantastic. It vibrates the whole inside of you. I mean, say, I've been with groups that practice in small places. The bass actually rattles the windows. This is exactly what it does to a human being, I think.
They don't sing pretty songs. They sing real songs, real feeling as they turn out. Just pure feeling for this Liverpool noises.
I don't think there is any such thing as a Mersey sound. It's just an illusion that now Liverpool groups have broken through and got records up in the charts. People have just said this sort of thing.
I think it's purely geographical. If they played this sort of music in Timbuktu, they would call it a Timbuktu sound. If they played it in Plymouth, they call it the Plymouth sound.
Well, it's a form of rowdyism, really.
A mashed potato, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll shake it. Hey, baby. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, baby. Come on, baby. Yeah. Mashed potato, yeah. All right. All right. Whoa, baby. Hey, baby, make the beat all right. Yeah. Hey, baby. Come on, baby.
Well, when you start in this business, as we might call it, you're really on your own. You buy a guitar, maybe a couple of pounds, second-hand one or a new one. You sort of go into it every night. You take every available minute you've got to play it and practice it just on your own until you feel that you're capable enough to maybe get a couple of pals together and get a group.
I bought a second-hand kit of drums and I used to practice in the garage down the garden, you know. And I borrowed some money off my grandfather to buy a better kit of drums, you know.
My mother said, well, go to lessons. So go to lessons I did, but after learning about 3 chords, I learnt nothing more. So I gave that up, and had a bash at listening to records instead, and I learnt more that way. Well, the main problem isn't music, it's people, actually. When we started playing a group, we had to find somewhere to practice. Well, we started practicing in various homes. Then we had to put up with the parents complaining, especially my father who works nights. Then the neighbours started thumping on the wall. And finally they got a petition up and sent the council round to tell us that, well, if you didn't stop practicing and making noise, then we'd get thrown out probably.
When I first got my first kid, I used to practice in the parlour all night, and the lady next door used to bang on the wall because of the noise, you see. Well, I just used to get up off the drums and bang back on the wall, and of course she wouldn't say anything else, you know, she'd just get fed up knocking on the wall.
Whoa, come on, come on, come on, oh man. I said shake it, oh man, yeah, hey baby.
I remember one singer we were playing with, we hadn't been going long as a group. And they did the first half of the show, and it was so-so, it was pretty dead, really. So we said, well, we'll have to do something about this. So we took him off to the boozer, you see. And not being a drinking fellow, you see, the drink affected him rather more than we expected. We went on stage, and he started throwing his arms about, getting twisted in the microphone cable. And as a result of that, it became part of his act. And now he's coming down like a bomb wherever he goes.
Oh baby, I feel good, I know, like I should. I said baby, oh baby, yeah, oh man, hey baby, come on baby, yeah.
At one stage, especially in the dance halls, not particularly the jazz clubs, people would come in to the dance about 9:30, having spent a couple of hours in the pub. They come in, usually start over two blokes fighting over one girl. Because eventually the whole dance hall erupted. And it was just a massive violence.
There'd be chairs throwing around, cups going, blood everywhere. The police might be standing outside the door. They wouldn't venture in. They weren't going to risk their necks. And the group would just have to keep playing on all the time. But now with more and more bouncers and better bouncers, who perhaps wrestlers and boxers and all kinds of things like that at these joints, the crowd's so packed and so hot, they're just too tired and too tightly packed to raise a fist to start a fight.
Most of the groups are in it for fun, not for money. By the time they get about £8 per booking, by the time we've paid off the driver and so on, you're lucky if you've got about £4 a week between you, and that goes into your hire purchase. As for example, my own group, for instance, spent about £1,100 worth in equipment. It's taken us 2 years to pay it off. By the time it will be paid off, it'll be past the post and we need new equipment.
Pretend you're happy when you're blue. It isn't very hard to do. The little things you haven't got come in a lot of you. And remember...
The groups expect to struggle along at first, but in fact with that it is big business. For instance, since last September, we've enrolled at just one club in the heart of the city, 15,000 members who pay £0.50 for a year's membership, and we try to give them good value for money. For instance, on this club alone, they spent in the region of £5,000 on decorations and improvements.
One you can call on your own. Just close your eyes, she'll be there.
This club about a year ago was originally a jazz club. We had our problems. For instance, when we took over, we had about 40 beatniks sleeping on the floor. They smell, the good customers don't want to mix with them, and so our first problem was in getting them out. We also faced our problems with the protection boys, and the types that come around swinging bicycle chains and wanting to spoil other people's pleasure. This was overcome mainly with the help of our bouncers. We have a very good team. They're respected in their own districts. They know the types to keep out. And they have run the club exceptionally well for us. We leave that side entirely to them.
You'll find this love you can't share. One you can call on your own.
To many ears, the happiest note in the Merseysound has been the tinkling of money. A pop music newspaper, which started in Liverpool 2 years ago with a capital of £200, now claims to sell 25,000 copies every fortnight. Its editor, Bill Harry.
When we started Merseybeat 2 years ago, the Beatles were tying the mics to broomsticks. They had long haircuts and rather an untidy form of dress. All over Merseyside, the groups were wearing jeans on stage, were very sloppy, long haircuts. Worst of all, they were actually swearing on stage. So we wrote some editorials. Get your hair cut. Don't smoke on stage. Stop swearing. And we found that the groups did take notice. Smart suits on stage, a more professional outlook. And rock and roll became more of a major industry than just a hobby.
Of course, most of this business is a hire purchase, but I would say that over the past 2 years, the general business of guitars, amplifiers and drums must have gone up fivefold.
There must be about £1 million a year spent on the rock and roll industry in Merseyside. Most of it comes from the younger teenage fans. They're fanatical about the groups and supporting them.
The fans of the group, the different groups around Liverpool these days seem to be getting younger all the time. They're down to about 12 and 13 now, really. Of course, they're made up mainly of about 85% of girls, and the behaviour of some of them is quite fantastic. We heard a case of where some of them, in fact, slept beneath the bedroom window of one of the drummers in one of the famous groups, which I won't actually name. And there again, we've seen them sleeping outside different jazz clubs when they know the particular group's on the next day. And we remember on Easter Monday last, in fact, when we were playing at one of these particular places in town, there was a great queue there, must have been about 50 yards long, hours before the performance was due to start. And when we got down there, we were the first group on about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And all the girls rushed to the front and they get a bird's eye view of the group. And then, of course, when we started playing, we expected they might be listening to us, but in point of fact, out they got with their lunch and started eating and doing their hair, taking their rollers out and preparing themselves for the group, the main group, which was on about 10 o'clock, you see.
Yeah, it was the Beatles who were on that night, and the girls had been queuing up all night, and when they got in, there must have been about 700 of them there. The Beatles come on the stage, and the sweat was dripping off the walls, off the ceilings. Oh, the atmosphere was damp, and the sweat must have dripped onto the fuses, fused all the amplifiers, so they couldn't play. So what they done, they got the crowd joining in with them singing, and with just the drums playing, all the girls singing. Then they fixed the amps, they went on, and all the girls, as soon as they come on, all the girls screaming, shouting, pushing to see them, and you just couldn't hear any music, you just saw them. So the girls go home, say to their mother, oh, we heard the Beatles tonight, and matter of fact, they've waited about 10 hours outside just to see them, never heard them at all.
The Beatles came down themselves about 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, and they were talking to us and signing autographs, and then they went away, and then we sort of all sat down, and some of the lazy ones sort of fell asleep, but the rest of us just kept awake on coffee and dreams of the Beatles.
The Beatles. In one meteoric year, they've led the way from the cellars of Liverpool to the national limelight. George Harrison, lead guitar. John Lennon, rhythm guitar. Paul McCartney, bass guitar. Ringo Starr, drums. A group run by Liverpool businessman Brian Epstein. Epstein was a house furnisher who developed a sideline in gramophone records. He got the Beatles their first record, Love Me Do, in October 1962. Its brisk sale on Merseyside helped to hoist the Beatles into the popularity charts published in the music papers. This was the beginning of a national reputation.
I hadn't had anything to do with pop management of pop artists before that day that I went down to the Camping Club and heard the Beatles playing. And this was quite a new world, really, for me. I was amazed by this sort of dark, smoky, dank atmosphere, this beat music playing away. And the Beatles were then just four lads on that rather dimly lit stage, somewhat ill-clad, and the presentation was, well, left a little to be desired as far as I was concerned, because I've been interested in the theatre and acting for a long time. But amongst all that, something tremendous came over, and I was immediately struck by their music, their beat, and their sense of humour, actually, on stage. And even afterwards, when I met them, I was struck again by their personal charm. And it was there that really it all started. It took about 8 months to get to the stage where we had a recording contract and we were having the first record issued. And from there to the present, well, where their last record sold 500,000 copies within 10 days of issue. Actually, their first record did very well. It sold 100,000 copies. That was Love Me Do.
Love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true. So please love me do. Oh, love me do. Love me do. You know I love you. I'll always be true.
The best thing was it came to the charts in 2 days, and everybody thought it was a fiddle because our managers' stores send in these, record things. Returns. And everybody down south thought, he's buying them himself or he's just fiddling the charts, But he wasn't.
Actually, we've been at it a long time before that. We've been to Hamburg, and I think that's where we found our style. We developed our style because of this fellow there. He used to say, you've got to make a show for the people. And he used to come up every night shouting, Mac Show. So we used to Mac Show, and John used to dance around like a gorilla, and we'd all, knock our heads together and things like that. Anyway, we got back to Liverpool, and all the groups there were doing this sort of shadows type of stuff. And we came back, leather jackets and jeans and funny hair, macking show, which went down quite well.
We just bought leather jackets, not for the group. One person bought one, I can't remember, and then we all liked them, so it ended up we were all on stage with them. We'd always worn jeans because we didn't have anything else at the time. And then we went back to Liverpool and got quite a few bookings. They all thought we were German. We were builders from Hamburg, and they all said, you speak good English, things like that. So we went back to Germany, and we had a bit more money the second time. So we bought leather pants, and we looked like 4 Gene Vincents, only a bit younger, I think. And that was it, and we just kept the leather gear till Brian came along.
It was a bit sort of old hat anyway, all wearing leather gear. And we decided we didn't want to look sort of ridiculous, just going on, because more often than not, too many people would laugh. It was just stupid. We didn't want to sort of appear as a gang of idiots. And Brian suggested that we just sort of wore ordinary suits. So we just got what we thought were quite good suits and just got rid of the leather gear. That was all.
And you had yours pinched anyway.
Oh yeah, I had my pants pinched anyway.
We didn't laugh at them in Liverpool.
We do like the fans and enjoy reading the publicity about us, but from time to time you don't realise that it's actually about yourself. You see your pictures and
read articles about, you know, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Paul and John. But you don't actually think, oh, that's me that I am in the paper. It's funny, it's just as though it's a different person.
When we go home, you know, we go in early in the morning when we finish the job, and the kids, you know, they don't know you at home. But if they find out, well, where I live, they get the drums out, you know, and beat it out, because it's a play street, and, you know, there's no traffic or nothing bothering them. And once, when the boys came for me, they popped in to see me mum and my dad, you know. We had to go out the back because, you know, there's 20 or 30 outside. And they wouldn't believe me, mother, you know, they'd knock in saying, can we have their autographs? So it built up, you know, so much. There was about 200 kids all around the door, and they was peeping through the window and knocking, you know. In the end, my mother was ill, you know, she was terrified out of her life, just all these kids and boys and girls and that, you know.
They send us a lot of jelly babies and chocolates and things like that, because somebody wrote in one of the papers about presents and things that we'd had given to us, and John said he got some jelly babies, and I ate them. But ever since that, we've been inundated. We had about 2 ton a night. But the main trouble is they tend to throw them at us when we're on stage. And once I got one in my eye, which wasn't very nice. In fact, I've never been the same since.
It all sounds complaining, but, you know, we're not. We're just putting the point is that, you know, it affects your home more than it does yourself, you know, because you know what to expect. But your parents and your family, you know, they don't know what's happening.
Have you any broken drumsticks? Please, please, please will you send us one each? We think your hair is foul. We got home from Waltherstone at 3:30. My dad nearly killed me, but I'd do it a million times over to see you.
I'm coming to see you on Monday night. I'll clap very loud so that you'll know who I am.
Is it possible to get a picture of you? 2 foot by 4 foot to fit on my bedroom wall.
I have entered a competition in boyfriend comic to win a date with one of you, but I don't suppose I'll win.
BBC producer Jim Casey.
No, well, it isn't really all that funny because, I mean, these kids are the people who decide. They're the ones who make stars or break them. I mean, if 1,000 kids scream, this is fab. And if nobody screams, it's how long can these groups go on, this Mersey beat? Nobody knows, but one thing is that the record companies have got to keep on finding new gimmicks, new things to sell. Some of these 20 million pounds worth of records that are sold every year. And teenagers, as they get to be 17 or whatever the age is, they want new idols. And groups, the other thing is that groups, it seems to me difficult for them to carry on, unlike individuals, Tommy Steele and Cliff Richards, they can become entertainers, actors, dancers, singers. What a group can do, I don't know. Their future seems much more shaky.
The demand that you think, how long are you going to last? Well, you can't say, you know. You can be big-headed and say, yeah, we're going to last 10 years. But as soon as you've said that, you think, you know, we're lucky if we last 3 months, you know.
Well, obviously we can't keep playing the same sort of music until we're about 40, because when we're sort of old men playing From Me to You, nobody's going to want to know it's all about that sort of thing. So, you know, we've thought about it, and probably the thing that John and I will do will be write songs, as we have been doing as a sort of sideline now. We'll probably develop that a bit more, we hope. Who knows, at 40 we may not know how to write songs anymore.
I hope to have enough money to go in
into a business of my own by the time we do flop. And I mean, we don't know, it may be next week, it may be 2 or 3 years, but I think we'll be in the business either up there or down there for at least another 4 years.
I've always fancied having a lady's hairdressing salon, you know, a string of them, in fact, and trot round with my stripes and my tails, you know. Like a cup of tea, madam?
I'm 18 and I've just given up my job as a trainee accountant to do this professionally, and with a bit of luck I think I should be able to come out with about, say, £10,000, something like that. You know, as long as this sort of money's in it, then chaps are just going to keep plonking on.